Hello YouTube. Production line day today. We're doing some internal, external corners. And my narrator in the background is just listening to social media. Get you up. She's whispering like she can't hear you, or you can't hear her. Right, let's get it. One of the first skills you've got to learn in lead work is getting this off. All good over there, Narita? I'm not on. It is. Everything is working just fine. Alright, so we've got some cover flashings to do on our hotel. 32 separate corners to go around. Make a start this afternoon, probably finish these Thursday.
Nan said hi.
Hello there. What am I doing? Still not big enough. Let's go 300. There we go. God, did I laugh at that?
What are we making today?
Many corners for cover flashings. You are the best on what you're doing. Oh, thanks, man. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but thank you very much nonetheless. That'll be easier, isn't it? So everybody got a full view? Yeah, up to there, that's fine. Alright. What do you reckon? Just hit the externals. Wish I just cut all 15 of each. Oh, what to do? We cheat code this.
It looks fun to work with that.
Yeah, it's pretty satisfying and frustrating at the same time. It takes a while for it to be real fun. Once you get a sort of handle on it, when you're learning, it is extremely frustrating at times.
You need to put that on me. I'm having trouble.
This is the Mr. Miyagi of lead. Cheers, Charlie. Preferred supplier of lead. Ooh, you know, I'm not too fussed. I use EcoBat, which is British Lead Mills formerly. Quite consistent, but if I'm honest, all the lead manufacturers, when they're good, they're good. You know, they all have their times when they're sort of a bit, you get these sort of different variations in it, but it is lead, you know, at the end of the day it's come out of a floor, although our lead comes from batteries. And by the time it's in a wall, it's not too bad, but I do prefer, at the moment at least, to use this particular brand. Do you have to work on historical buildings? Or do you ever work on historical buildings? I do, yeah, I do. I try not to as much as possible because of all the stuff that goes with working on historical buildings. So I used to be, man, when I started out, it's all I wanted to do was work on the historical stuff. And I got to that place where, you know, 95% of my work was all historical buildings. It soon gets pretty old with all the regulations of historical buildings. Chalk backing lead, oak boarding, code 8, sandcast lead, and I tend to find like the historical buildings, big old jobs where you can be down there for months, just one bay after another bay after another. It gets pretty monotonous after a while. I do love it though, the historical building. Just wish it wasn't so lengthy.
Mark said hello mate, it's Mark from My Hero again.
Where from?
I can't see.
Hello mate, it's Mark from Ohio. Hey man, welcome back, how have you been?
No, on this one.
Huh, that's weird. Is that because of, oh, I don't know. Does it switch over if you do it on your normal way that you were doing it last time?
No, I can't do it.
Oh. That is bizarre. How many, I should know this. 300s into 6,000. I'm just going to calculate it anyway. Don't judge me. We get 20. I don't need 20.
Super. Are you a one-man show?
Pretty much, yeah. I get help from time to time. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mark said good. How are you guys?
Yeah, doing really well. I'm doing really well, thanks.
Yeah, good, thank you.
So we need to get that sorted. Right? What is going on with that? Should just be operational from the off-go.
Yeah.
We had a problem with that before though, didn't you?
Well, it took me a little while and then I done it and now it won't let me. And I've logged in as me.
Maybe that's the problem. Computer says no.
Mark said, have we gotten her on camera? Yeah.
No, not even her feet yet, Mark. Just her dulcet tones.
Dylan said, how did you get into lead work? What triggered the passion?
I was a roofer initially. I just wanted a trade and roofing came along first. And it evolved from there really. I mean, in a nutshell, it was just, as soon as I saw this stuff, I was like, oh, what's that? And I watched a few other people doing it and I was like, oh, tried some stuff out, did some practicing, and it all evolved from there. By about 4 years in, I was completely lead work only. By about 2 years in, I was doing quite a bit of lead work.
I saw her hand once. We need to work on that. Did you check the framing square, if it's square?
No, I did not. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It doesn't really matter as long as it's roughly right. The good thing about lead is it bends and moves to suit. And to be honest, 99% of what I'm doing here, although I make it at 90 degrees, when you put it in, it needs a little tap and an adjustment to what the surface is. So it doesn't have to be perfect.
Did you go on a lead course?
So, I mean, the full long story of it is, so about a couple of years into roofing, I decided to go on a lead burning course to teach myself to burn because I was having no luck teaching myself. This was pre-YouTube and TikTok days. So then I was able to get up and running doing basic lead work. And then I fell into a job as a lead worker underneath a guy that was a fantastic lead worker who was a contracts manager for a company. And he took me under his wing a bit, showed me all the tricks of the trade. So I was fully operational by that point. But I did go and take the full City and Guilds lead course for my benefit, just to say I was qualified, so that I could work on certain places. But I haven't actually used it really once. I suppose when I did a bit of new build stuff, my CSCS card was for my lead workers, so it did in the end pay off. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Mark said, are we doing the drink for the question? What are you making?
No, I'm trying to be a good boy through the week now, Mark. Although, if I do end up staying on late, I have to crack a beer open by about 5:30 when I'm on the bench late. It just makes everything better. So potentially, it is possible.
I wonder if I try and update this.
I know. Oh, I've got 30 odd, so there's not even enough on that roll. Stop pushing buttons on the table, which should make everyone seasick.
I sort of have to, I'm afraid.
Have you found the chat yet?
No, it's not on there.
Just giving up.
No, I just said to you, what about if I update the phone?
I don't really know. I need to get it sorted. It's warm, isn't it?
What the hell was that? I agree. Drink, drink, drink.
I wonder if it'll let me go into it on my other card. No, because I don't think it's on here either, is it? A quick. Or should just switch over now to the wrong device. What's my name again? See. That's just the way. Well, it doesn't even show us live on there. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got chat. Sorry everyone else on this chat. Hi to Nan. You got that one? So where did that go? What are we making today? You did Reese? Yeah, it looks like fun to work with that. So you have seen it?
On my phone?
I just said, try it on your phone.
Oh, I've got it on my phone.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But where is it on this one?
I don't know, but switch that one to TikTok.
I can't.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I'll try and keep an eye on that one then. Don't get too many on that yet, do we? Oh, I'm really warm. I'm going to have to take this jumper off. We've got thunderstorms. Well, not thunderstorms, a little bit of thunder due, and it's really, really hot and muggy. Which is quite nice for a change of being freezing, but...
How many has he got to mark out?
So, 32. Possibly 30... No, 32 separate ones of these. And then there's like 15 internal, 15 external, and then 2 sort of not quite 90-degree ones. What?
Look on this one. Let's see.
On what?
Where did you find it?
Not like that. Yeah, this needs updating by the look of it. Then went like that, then went like that, and it was just there. No, well, just do you. You do you. 3. So we get about 20 off this roll. And I'll go through these in pretty much 2 minutes. So this particular cover flashing that I'm doing, a big old flat roof on a hotel, but of course the flat roof's here and it's got a wall all the way around it, but the wall just goes 3 meters, steps out, steps in, steps out, steps in, steps out, steps in, steps out, all the way around.
Isn't lead toxic?
It is indeed toxic, but misunderstood toxic. So lead in this form is relatively safe, but obviously you don't go licking it. That's a big no-no. But like if I took my gloves off now and just started rubbing my hands on it, nothing's going to happen. The reason I wear gloves is just so that I'm not, as soon as I walk away from this bench, I'll take my gloves off, wash my hands, and then that way if I'm touching anything else or eating, I'm not getting cross-contamination. The fumes from welding are toxic, but I filter those through a HEPA filter. And the oxidization of old lead can break into powder, a bit like in the old days with the old paint. When it dries out and becomes oxidized, it can break into airborne particles. But that said, you have to have a lot of exposure for it to be dangerous to you. So I have to monitor my lead levels. 10, that's not 20. I'm going to cut this off. Got some 240 here. Or do it off to 300. Ha! Ha! It's not funny. Stop laughing at me. I just crushed my finger between 2 rolls. Daily hazard of mine.
I love the high-speed bonk so much.
The high-speed bonk's the one, isn't it? A lot of people have been really loving slow to high speed and back again as well. Right, so I need 12 more. 12 more. Should count these as a go.
I just had to come off that thingy, so I don't know if I've missed anything.
Off what? The tube
No,
or the top?
that one.
Why have you come off that?
Because it's so behind.
Oh, you're back on and off.
Can we see your message?
What do you reckon, Joe?
No.
What do you reckon, Joe? What we'll do is when she's not looking, maybe at the end of the video, because all my cameras are like rigged up solid where I can't really do much with them, is we'll just wait till she's not looking and I'll just quickly spin it around. What about a hand? Why don't you wave to the guys?
No.
Huh?
No.
Come on, you've got pretty hands.
He said, I bet you're punching.
I am indeed, but I don't know why you assume that. Hang on a minute. Come on, chap. This beautiful little face, come on. Most tradesmen are punching, right?
Mark said, yeah, do it. No, Mark.
Yeah, whenever I used to go and work Christmas parties with all the other roofers and people like that, you know, you'd have us ugly, rough, old, beaten up tradesmen, and then you'd have all like these stunningly beautiful girls with them.
Makita have battery shears. Do you use them or any other battery tools on lead?
I only use Makita, so if I was gonna, that would definitely be the one. I've been tempted to buy a set of those. So they do 2 sets. They do the shear and the nibbler, which are predominantly meant for hard metals like copper and zinc. I've been very tempted on several occasions to do it. For something like this, it'd probably be a bit clumsy and harder work for me to have sort of manhandle. But when we do the straight run flashings, these particular ones are falling between 200mm and 150, so I can't buy a roll that's the right size for the flashing. So I've now got to cut 50 meters of flashing all the way along, and for those jobs it would be perfect. But no, as of yet, I haven't tried one. I'm very tempted.
Mark said keep it up, I'll keep asking.
That's it, Mark. We'll keep whittling it down.
Have you ever got lead poisoning?
No. So I have annual blood checks. So I'll go into the doctors once a year. They'll draw some blood out of me, and then a month later they tell me how much lead is in my blood. So they have safe working practice levels. Obviously, if you monitor it over a year and you're looking after yourself, it can gradually creep up. But you probably, if you're not looking after yourself, you've probably got 5-10 years in you before you have to stop working with lead generally. But if you are looking after yourself and doing your best, then generally speaking, you won't get any problems at all. So last year, my lead levels actually dropped, which has never happened before. So I must be doing something right. But no, in answer to your question, I've never been dangerously high. I'll do 7 there. I can't read it because it's in the reflection and I'm blind.
Okay,
Should it? Don't be scared.
Mark said keep it up. He said, I'm in Newton Abbot now and going to Timoth. I could pop through and drop my number off to your missus.
It's alright, I'll just drop her to you.
Fat Nose said, I need some advice, lead work.
Hit me up. Is it something we can talk about
Best
now?
way to put lead on your conservatory is I have never done it and have to.
It depends on your conservatory massively, the design. They're always a problem. Conservatories are not designed very well for meeting the property, so to speak. I have come across one that was really good, but apart from that, it's always an issue. They're too shallow. They're just a pain in the backside. But it depends what type of conservatory. If it's a lean-to, is it ridged or valleyed, things like that. But generally speaking, you want to treat it as if you've got a normal roof and take your lead onto the glass as if it was a roof, if that makes sense at all.
Show us them hands.
You can see mine if you want.
Curious as to why you didn't just cut with a knife while you were marking with your square.
I go through phases of knife cutting. I try not to knife cut because I don't want to lose a finger. That's very common in the lead industry. So the lads will put their square down. They'll get their knife and they'll hold. You've got to pin it like death to hold it in place. And if you've got to push pretty hard to score the lead, and every now and again it will just jump over there straight through your finger. Touch wood. I've never actually drawn blood, but I've caught my finger a few times. Very, very. In fact, I did it on live, didn't I?
Yeah.
God, I nearly took the finger off. It missed by millimetres. I was pushing so hard. So I try my best not to do it too much, but I do prefer a knife cut to a snip cut. And you see, like as I snip the lead like this, what happens is that you end up with a little curve. So now I've got to dress each one of these back to flat. With a knife, you score it, you can flip it backwards and forwards and just pull it off flat. And it does just give a nicer edge. I mean, it's not like a terrible edge with snips. You know, it's not awful. I mean, those snips I'm using are pretty good.
Fat Nose says it's a lean-to conservatory. It's not lead as such. It's aluminium with sticky stuff on.
Yeah. So that's what's on there now, and so obviously depending on how steep the pitch is, which is usually quite shallow with the conservatory, it depends how much lead you would take down. But really, what you need is lead going up your glass, up your wall 100 mil, and then separate lead coming out of the wall and down over the lead. Sounds so easy when you say it like that, but actually, because you've got no fixing points to fix anything to like you do on a roof, it gets quite tricky. So it depends if you've got space behind that glass to hook straps on, or if there's a plastic bar or alley bar that's able to drill into.
Peter said on YouTube, I'm trying to find the video where you are throwing tools about. Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah, I do. It might, if it's on YouTube, it might not have a name, because sometimes I'll just let the date run. It's on all the platforms. Oh God, what was it? Oh, I've just missed all this.
Is it raining over there? Here also, yeah, it's raining a lot now.
I think that throwing one was about 4 weeks ago, to give you some idea.
It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a while. I'll see if I can think about it in the next sort of half hour while I'm scratching my brain. Is it raining? Yeah, it just started chucking it down actually. You didn't answer him though.
I did. I said, yeah, it's raining.
Well, I wasn't listening.
Fat Nose said, yeah, I get you. Never thought, thanks.
I've got a feeling if I named that video, it was probably named "It's Been a Long Week." Got a sneaky suspicion. Right, where are we at? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2. I don't want too many. I have 1 too many. Right then, let's get down to business. So when I've got this many to make in a row, I'm trying to think all the time, how can I speed the process up, because obviously you're repeating something so much. So we need a 25mm bend to go into the wall, and then it's 150mm bend around the corner or in around the corner, and then that'll overlap our normal flashings. So basically each one, those of you that are regulars who've seen me make saddles, these are basically the same as saddles but different upstands. And I don't have to put a return on it. So what we'll do is a test run. Because they're so small, you also usually watch me, I'll drag my tape down, but you'll see now when I do that, what have we got? 200, as soon as I try, it generally shifts around, so it's not very reliable. What can I...
For how long are you doing this work?
I've done actual lead work about 20 years. I feel like I've been saying that for 20 years, it's probably 40. And I've been in the roofing industry about 24 years, 23 years, something like that. So, right, we've marked it down the middle, we've marked what's going into the wall. There will be some to take off this once I'm on site, because it isn't all chased out yet. I'm not entirely sure quite how much of a drop we've got, so I'm just getting a head start on the fitting.
Where are you? Because the sun is cracking flags here in northwest.
Oh lush, we're down in the southwest. It's been a nice few days, and it's been nice today to be fair. It's just we've got a bit of thunder supposed to be coming.
I think it is starting to give you a bit now.
Alright, so
Hello.
hi. Love your videos, thank you. Right, so what I do is I just snip the line down to the chase point. For those of you that understand what I'm talking about, the chase is into the wall, the groove we cut. We've got our 25mm and we've got our 150 lap. And then I'll just take a tiny bit off each side so it doesn't sit on the 90-degree edge, which I'll explain in a minute.
The southwest has got thunder and lightning. Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, I haven't got my clamps. I don't really need them though for swim units. I've become very dependent on my clamps lately. Just started using them last year to do some basic stuff, and I was like, why haven't I been doing this my whole life?
Might have to go and pick her up then if it's raining.
Nah, it should be alright.
Thunder and lightning.
Should
rain.
be alright.
It's
It's exciting. She's a teenager. They need some hardening up. Right, so that's our flash in 25 in the wall. It's actually closer to 30, but always leave a bit extra on that. Now, I've marked it on the wrong side. These don't have to be perfect because the flat roofs that they're going on are wonky, distorted, the upstands are all over the place. So basically I'm just making a rough, literally rough, thing that will go roughly in place, roughly. And then we'll dress it all in situ. So I don't set this crease in too tightly unless I know that there's a really good corner. Inevitably what will happen, so the reason I didn't just cut straight in is just because I didn't want this edge sitting along that edge. So when I weld it now, it'll basically, I'll take from this and it'll go 45 degrees roughly. I forgot what I was saying now.
Peter said it's been a long week is right. I found it, thank you.
Ah, sound. Get me with a memory.
Yeah. Oh, how did you remember that?
Yeah, so that was it. Yeah, so I don't sharpen this corner up too much because as you go down a flat roof, they tend to sort of swoop out. So what I'll do is I'll just give it a bit of a knockout to allow for that on site, depending on each corner. Cut and weld, cut and weld. Should we do? Let's do a few. When were we on live last?
Is it a couple of Thursdays, say like a week and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, it feels like ages ago. Let's see if I can get this one to sit still. Be so light, or else it just moves.
Got to go back to work now. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thanks.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Oh, of course I need to do that.
Greetings from Ireland, my Honda buddy.
Hey, man. How have you been?
What are you making?
We're making external corners currently for cover flash ends. And then we're going to do some internals. So I'm going to open this V up a little bit more, so not quite 45 degrees. Something like that. I haven't got my steel plate in here either.
Oh, you're going to go and get wet and get it?
Well, I haven't got to set this corner in too tight, so it doesn't matter. And no, I'm not getting wet. We'll persevere. Don't know how, but like, I work in the rain quite a bit, generally speaking. I'm not too shy of the old rain. Don't like getting too wet. And I'll, you know, if it's raining all day and I'm wet, I'll go home around 2-ish. But for some reason, this year, the last 12 months, I've somehow been lucky enough to be in here when it's raining and fitting when it's not.
You're in the UK, correct?
Very correct. Mucho correcto.
My Honda buddy said, oh, nice job, buddy.
Thanks. This is proper sort of like basic bread and butter work. So I'm off all the big jobs at the moment. We've just got a load of like cover flashings and chimneys and stuff to do. So I should probably be back on live quite a bit.
Could you make a floatable RC boat hull, like a canal barge, etc.?
Yeah, probably.
What do you do with all the offcuts? Do you melt them into sticks for welding?
No, I generally use, oh sorry, yeah, no, I don't melt them. Anything I can get a rod or a gusset out of gets used, and then all the little tiny bits you see cutting off, I just throw in a pile. I hardly get any scrap at all.
Love your work. I binge watch all your videos daily, LOL.
Oh, nice one, appreciate that.
How's the weather in the UK?
It's a bit thundery and rainy here, but it's like its own ecosystem, climate across the different parts of the country.
It's good for our new grass.
Very good for our new lawn. Sun and rain. Yes, it's showery, sunny and warm.
Can you explain what you need to weld lead?
What do you need to weld lead? Equipment wise, you need bare minimum something called like an oxy turbo set, which is like a mini setup. It's only about this big. It's got 2 little gas bottles, hose, a gun. You need yourself some lead and off you go. I learnt on one of those sets. They are fantastic. They don't last very long, so obviously if you're doing what I do every day, you want a bigger set, but I can do anything with one of those sets that I can do with the set you see me using. But that's what I'd recommend to anybody who's getting into it, is just start with a little turbo set.
Just got the #1 gifter badge.
Oh, no way. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. See, I've been doing lives for a while now, but like, I really struggle with all the gifts and stuff. Like, I don't know what's going on or how or why, but I genuinely appreciate every single thing. Like, even that you take the time out of your day to watch me. Still feels so surreal, standing here talking to you all while doing my job. I watch the followers on my channels and stuff, and I'm like, I look at them, and when I started all this, I was very much like, oh, I just want to drum up some work, really. That's about all I wanted from the channels, and you bunch of nutters all started following me, and you know, here we are.
Here in the States, we're not allowed to use lead for flashings anymore, except for re-roofing on military installations where it's specifically called for.
So that is true. There are parts of America still using it, in the South, I think, because I've had a few guys on here saying they do. I know of a lead worker from the UK who went out to do some lead work in Texas, I think. But yeah, it's banned in a lot of places. A lot of places it's banned.
Love your work, man.
Thank you.
I don't know where he's from.
Has he said where he's from?
Yeah, I'm not saying it.
Where are we on here?
No.
Oh, Nebraska. Did I get
sorry,
that?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, Nebraska, yeah, Nebraska.
Where's that?
America.
Yeah.
Your boy. Lovely part of the world.
Josh said, love your work, watch you all the time. I'm starting to have a go at welding this week, can't wait.
Oh, thanks, Josh. If you're interested, obviously, once you're up and running, you've got a few problems, you can always hit me up on any of the platforms message-wise with some pictures. I've probably said this 1,000 times, but I have a members section now on YouTube where I'm going to do some really in-depth tutorial stuff that people that really want to learn. It's not really what my channel's about, sort of tutorial stuff, but for the guys that really support me and help and allow me to make these videos better quality more often, in return, I'm more than happy to put out some high detail tutorials for people like that. So if it's something that interests you, watch that space. But yeah, in the meantime, just hit me up on any social media, DM me, send me some pictures, and I'll see if I can give you some advice.
Shall we say hi?
Hey there. You're watching both now?
I know, but I have been anyway.
Should we do 5 and weld 5? Let's break up the monotony. On what?
Trying to update that one. Josh said, cheers mate, thank you for that.
I'm from Connecticut and mostly the only time you use lead is counter flashings. Oh, but you're still using them though?
You know lead is radioactive.
No, it's not. It is the opposite of radioactive. It stops radioactivity. That's why they put it in X-ray rooms. Unless you misspelt that, obviously. It's counter radioactive. So if we're in a nuclear fallout, you know where to come. I'll build you a Faraday cage. I really like that word, Faraday. I don't know why. Do you know what would be easier than this? Do you know what would just be easier? Faffing around. Done. And now we need a 150 as well, because then I haven't got a... What have I got? What's that? What's that? Yes! Winner! Ha! See? Evolving. No room left on my bench, but we're evolving. So this block of wood's the perfect size.
Awesome to watch, thank you. Enjoying from California.
Oh, nice one. California! Oh, I bet weather's nice there. That is a place I'd very much like to visit. Joe gives the thumbs up. Yes, please. Apart from the plane journey.
Yeah.
I do not cope well with plane journeys. I don't mind flying. It's just everybody else on the plane that I mind.
No, that's not true. Lead stops X-rays, but lead itself is radioactive.
Are you sure? Are you speaking from experience? Because I'd like to hear more about that if you are. Like, what do you mean by that? How radioactive? Why do I not know this? Why don't they teach that in safety class?
It says lead is not radioactive when I googled it.
I'm going to say, that would be pretty annoying if that was radioactive. I think I'd have cancer by now, right? You also know that lead comes from the ground, it's mined out of the floor, right? Whether that makes any difference to it or not, I don't know. I think they had this conversation in my comments once. Yeah, you're mixing out with plutonium, uranium.
Yeah, it's obviously, it says lead blocks radiation, that's why they use it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly. X-rays are radiation, aren't they? Or they are radioactive. I'm talking like I know anything about the subject. Do not listen to me unless it's on how to fit lead, and then be careful.
Someone's put it very radioactive.
It's definitely not very. It's definitely not very radioactive.
Kyle said it's just failed my driving test. Oh, keep at it.
Oh no way, that sucks. I failed my first one. It is the worst. My daughter failed one as well. Somebody told me, where are you from, Carl? UK?
Any tips for lead works around a soil pipe close to my house into a flat garage roof?
Yes, I know what you mean, yeah. Depends how close to the wall it is. If it's like butted tight against the wall, only thing you can do is flash up to it, and seal off behind it. If you do need to form a lead up stand around it as well, obviously you can only do that if you can get around the back and sort of slide it around and weld it up and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, they are always like that though. I've got one on this flat roof we're doing here.
Hey from Australia, never seen lead work down here. Cool stuff.
G'day, mate.
Alfie said chocolate? Question mark.
Silky grey chocolate.
Uranium comes from the ground too.
Yes, it does.
Are you on day rate?
Technically, I mean, I work for myself.
It just depends, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does depend. I do day rate.
Soil pipe very close to wall. Thanks for the tip, Stu.
Yeah, so you can only really do your best, like, to waterproof around it, unless you take the pipe out, obviously.
Why do you think they stopped putting it in petrol cars?
Because the gases from lead, when it is burnt, is super toxic. So hence, like, when I'm welding, you'll see in a minute, or I might be able to show you easier. When I'm welding lead, we use this, and this sucks all the lead fumes.
Down a bit more.
We use this, which sucks all the lead fumes out, filters them through a HEPA filter, and makes my air super clean.
I need to watch the history of lead.
Also, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
On YouTube.
A lot of the stigma attached to lead comes from obviously lead-based paint. So when it was on the wall, it was relatively safe. But as it breaks down and starts to flake, it becomes dust, and then it becomes airborne. So dust particles from lead and gas fumes from lead are toxic over time. You know, like if you breathe some in, you're going to be fine, really. But generally speaking, if you've got millions of cars on the road or thousands of cars on the road, all coughing out lead fumes, obviously that's a big no-no.
Lead was radioactive once, but over billions of years, the radioactive material decays until you get lead.
Thank you. That's a very interesting fact that I did not know.
Raging Flame says, how are you all doing?
Hey,
hello.
How's it going? Yeah, we're doing great, thank you. How about you?
Do you work on price?
Yeah, all of the above. There's no rules.
There is still lead on old roofs in Australia, but they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, so I had a friend of mine who's a roofer in Australia send me an article on the Book of Face, Facebook. And they were crying out for lead workers to come and work in Australia for 12-month visas, 1-month visits, or to move over there and full-time work. And they were saying in that advert for lead workers, you can pretty much live anywhere in Australia by choice. I don't know who they were or what they were, but that was quite interesting to see.
So in California, it's nice weather today. Highs 72 or 20 Fahrenheit and 22 Celsius and partly cloudy.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
I see you prefer to cut lead with snips instead of a knife. Why is that?
I generally do. It's a lot easier on your body, just constantly digging and dragging. It's super light to cut with snips. B, it's a lot safer, and that's probably actually, why is there 2 lines on it? That's probably the main reason I don't use knives very much with lead, unless I'm trying to get a really clean, accurate cut. I'm a bit wobbly to get myself in the path of the oncoming blade.
Last question. Is the
Aww.
lead in your pencil good, Eleanor?
Well, I have kids, so something's going on.
Do you ever install lead valleys?
I do indeed install lead valleys quite often, actually. Yeah, so like in between all my big fancy jobs that I love to put videos out about, you know, sometimes they make it onto the interweb and sometimes they don't. But generally speaking, I'm doing cover flashings, chimneys and valleys about a third of the year.
Jordan said about Australia, that would be work on historic restoration.
Oh, okay.
Is that still actual lead or is it something else?
Now, fully fledged, unadulterated, 100% pure lead. This lead that you see me using, again, don't listen to me too carefully because I'm not exactly the most clued up person, but I am informed that the lead we use in the UK, it comes from old car batteries, recycled, 100% recycled from car batteries. So not only is it 100% recyclable, sustainable, but it's also getting rid of all the old car batteries at the same time. How environmentally friendly that process is, I have no idea.
Apart from wedges, what other fixings do you use for installing flashing?
So have you seen me use the hall clips? These guys. So they're like little mini spring clips. They're brilliant for normal chases up to about 10 to 20 mil. Then I'll use lead wedges in anything bigger, and I also use lead wedges if I need a really, really good fixing. Depending on if you go into the chase and up the wall and you've got a wide chase,
Yeah, he's seen them before.
you can mechanically fix along that edge with washers as well. But you'll never see me fix through the face. You can put straps under it, but I'm not a fan of that.
Raging Flame says, I'm back, mate.
Hey, ma'am. Hey there.
How often do you get your lead levels tested since you work with it all the time?
I have to go every year. And depending on that readout, so when I was younger, I wasn't very careful. So over 5 years, my lead levels were slowly increasing. That shows you how long it takes. Like, bearing in mind I was smoking, I wasn't wearing gloves, I just wasn't being careful. You're young and you're stupid. 5 years, the doctor was like, hang on a minute, you need to stop, like, this is not going well, I want you back in 6 months. So I tried to sort of clean my act up a bit, went back in 6 months, it had gone up again. So he was like, right, look, I'm going to give you one more time, 6 months, and then we're going to like go from there. Come back 6 months, it's gone up again, and he's like, right, you're close to the safe working limits legally. I want you back in a month. So we did another month, and I actually had to have some time off working with lead. So that's when I started my first company, employed people to do it for me. And I had to have years out, and my lead levels all come back down again. But if I wasn't monitoring that, and then unfortunately a lot of lads don't, you know, who knows what damage I'd have done.
Luke said hi.
Hi, Luke. What's going on in?
That's still raining.
Yeah, it's still
I'm
raining.
going to text.
Got someone chasing this out for me, which is very rare. So I'm super excited to see how well they've done when I come back to fit it all.
Well, if they're out there now in this,
They will not be out in this, I can assure you. But I'll take even a scratch in the render.
Where are you based?
We're based in the southwest UK, Devon to be precise. Little country bumpkin. Right, we got 8. I said I was going to do 5 and then weld, didn't I?
Well, do you want to just keep doing them for a bit in case I need to go?
You can't go. No,
You
she's
can
fine.
just do that. No.
She's only our daughter. She can walk in the rain.
You might as well carry on.
Okay, boss.
Have you ever worked with copper, zinc, stainless, etc., or has it always been lead?
I've never done it as a job, but I have had a little play around with it, basically. I would love to work with copper, and I would definitely work with copper if there was more of it around the southwest, especially Devon. There's a few. Zinc's quite popular, but I'm not interested in zinc at all.
I do need to go. Yeah, she's just. Do you weld your back gutters on chimney stacks?
I do weld my back gutters. Yeah, I generally do all my basic stuff welded, but I weld it on the bench and then take it up to the chimney. Unlike most people do it in situ.
You might as well do it.
I might as well do it.
Would you, Rachel Penn said, would you be able to do 4-inch vanguard on a roof?
Would I be able to do 4-inch vanguard on a roof?
Mm.
Do I sound thick if I say I don't know what that means?
Jack said up to Devon. He's from Barnstable.
Let's go, boyo.
I lived
Sexy
in
Southwest
Paynton
in the house.
I lived in Paynton for 1 year with someone else, English bot DJ. I lived in Paynton for 1 year and Torquay and Brixham, Newton Abbot, and it's left it for a while and it's lovely there.
It's beautiful, isn't it? No place I'd rather be.
Right, I'll be back in a minute.
Right, you're going to have to bear with me as best as possible now, guys.
Change it over to
I will do my best to keep up with it. We'll do a bit of welding, so I can't hear anything or see anything anyway, so that'll give us a little break. Just go pick my daughter up from school. It should take her about 5 minutes, but probably take her about 10. And then I'll get you chat up on the board in front of me and do my best to answer. If any of my regulars are in, feel free to answer any questions you know the answers to. It's always appreciated. Right. Is it really nerdy of me to just want to put them all in a big line like that and make patterns out of them like that? Well, and when I look at that, I'm like, oh, I could do something on the roof that looks like that. Such a tart. Right, let's find you. Where are you? I think I'm back in line, so the hell with that. Oh no, that was ancient, that one. Mike Stixon, how many you got to mark out? Oh, that was ages ago. God, let me come out of the chat and back in. There we go. There we go, we got Kiki and Kikui. And somebody was filtered. Right, let's get some welds done. Right, don't judge me, okay? So, I might blow holes in these. It does happen, because I haven't got anything behind to stop the heat blowing through. So, when you see me weld these without a rod, quite often in my comment sections, they'll ask why I'm not using a rod to weld through. So, this overlaps that, and what I do, if you watch carefully while I'm welding, is I basically take the same amount as that rod from that lap and weld it into the one below. If I think I've stolen too much and it's a bit undercut, then you'll see me go back over it a second time. So that's why sometimes you'll see it go twice, sometimes you won't. So it's all about whether I feel it's strong enough and whatever else. But it loves to blow a hole in this corner. So it's quite common for that to happen, but it's really easy to fix. All right, let's get our extraction. Got a fire starter. I've got the plastic one, but I want some lead around the outside to waterproof it. Would it work? Yeah, pretty much. Provided you can get lead in and fix it, it's a very good, versatile alternative to anything. Right, how are we looking? Okay, cool. Let's rack them up. Feels like a production line. Straighten them a little bit, you know. Do you want to sleep tonight? There we go. Right. So I'm switching bottles on. Right, so I run, for those of you that are interested, 5 psi pressure in both bottles. Propylene coming through here, oxygen coming through there, roughly a 50-50 mix. So I'm going to start welding now, so I can't read your comments. I will have a look through as I get to the end of these ones, but turn your phone down because it gets quite noisy. Okay. Right. Don't miss anything. Where were we? Oh God, you've all been talking. This shit's so cool. I'm a machinist, never seen much lead work. Thanks, ma'am. Can you weld lead with a P2 mask? No, use a P3. It has to be P3. Use brass or steel aluminium most of the time. Oh, because you use brass. What areas do you cover? Pretty much South Devon at the moment. How many times a day do you have to tell people that lead welding isn't the same as soldering and brazing? Quite a few. To be honest, I don't actually need to say it anymore. You guys will cover me in the comments now. So that's good. Patrick, my old trade. Oh, hello, brother. I could do with the soldering iron. Sure can. Didn't blow through? Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, they all went reasonably well. So, those of you that are regulars know that when I make these videos and put them on my page, a lot of people say no penetration. Obviously, that last video I did, I blew a hole here and showed them the penetration situation. I mean, we didn't go for anything pretty at all. So these are going in a wall and then getting covered by cement and then cemented over again. So last thing I need to worry about is how pretty it looks, but this is how the weld looks. Now I also get a lot of people tell me that mistiness is because I don't clean the lead, but it's actually the gas I use. It's called propylene and it's quite a messy gas. And just to give you some sort of reference, it just wipes off and then you're shiny, all shiny. Also when I oil them, that comes off as well. So how do you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's annoying that it isn't 10. With what are you welding it together? So it's called a Modulo set, and basically what I do when I weld it is this overlaps this, and instead of using a rod, I basically take that amount of material from that side onto that side. Isn't propylene alcohol gas? I don't know about that, but it is definitely a liquid form gas like propane. So you've got to have different regulators and things like that to run it instead of acetylene. Right, 15 of them, didn't I? What are we doing on the tube? I think the narrator has returned. Be careful not to make too many of these. So that was 10, that was 10, and that was my 2 spares. This will be 10 in total though, won't it? There's only 5 more. So if you've just joined, I'm measuring using wood because it's quicker. Doesn't have to be accurate. So sorry mate, we're gonna have to shoot. No worries, Raging Flame, good to have ya. I'll be back on again soon, hopefully I'll see you then. Take care, buddy. No worries, Flo. Can you show how to make a ridge saddle? Yes, I can. It's exactly the same as making one of these, basically. So The ridge saddle is one I made earlier, slightly dusty. So there's plenty of these on my page if you do want to see it. I think I put one up yesterday of 2 of them being made. So you can basically see, if you are interested in proper technical how-to videos, become a member on my page. I'm going to be putting up proper how-to videos. It's not something that people really want to watch on my channel, so it's just a little thank you to anyone who's supporting my channel. So get in there if you want to see it properly. But basically, you have a square of lead, 300mm, cut down to 100mm, upstand that 100mm, bend it down the middle, put a gasket in the middle, and that is obviously your roof pitch there. But there are plenty of videos that make sense on the page already if you want to have a look.
My card's broken.
Why? What do you mean?
There's a light on and it's judded in.
There was... I switched it off yesterday. It was like, you have 3 faults. So when you say juddering, is the clutch?
I don't know, it's hard to reverse.
Is it when you're...
When I reverse.
Is it when you have your foot on the clutch coming off the clutch? Is it...
No, it's doing it the whole time.
Oh, what, just driving in a straight line? Like that?
Yeah.
I told you not to pick a teenager up.
And it reversed on, and it was trying to like lose reps. Where have you got to?
Can you show how to make a ridge saddle? Why are the scissors that big? So they do look big, don't they? So these are your sort of standard sizes. These ones I'll use for the really detailed stuff to get in around, and you'll see me using these ones day to day. So the point of fulcrum is really far away, so when I open and close, the force generated through the shear is a lot more. A bit like when you're using a long bar as an extension bar on a socket set. If you have a short one, it's quite hard, whereas if you have a long shear, it's quite easy to shear through. So basically, it just makes it easier to cut the lead, in a nutshell.
Awesome, I love lead work. I did a bit about 20 odd years ago.
Oh, no way.
George said thanks.
No problem.
Where did you purchase lead sheets from?
So you don't buy lead sheet, you buy lead rolls. Comes in rolls, like so, and then you just cut it off the roll. But you can buy that, if you're in the UK, you can buy it from any builder's merchant. If you're abroad, it's very, very dependent on your country or state.
They're snips, not scissors. Lead rolls cut into sheets.
They do indeed cut into sheets.
Fair enough. You're a superstar, cheers.
No worries.
They are heavy?
Yes, lead is very heavy.
What are they for?
These aren't particularly heavy. These are called cover flush and corners. So you have a flat roof, and then that goes up the wall. And then wherever there's a corner that wraps around, this goes into the wall and over the flat roof. And then this gets filled in, and then the water can't get in between the flat roof and the wall. Most of what you see me do is very similar to that. It's just corners and junctions. Lead is the problem solver. Why are you looking in your manual?
See what it says the light is.
And what did it say on the light? Was it just the light?
Just the light. Tin snips.
Yeah, that is the old school name for them.
What are the yellow tool things called?
This is a lead dresser, and this is a chase wedge. We also have
Someone said it's a lead beater.
bending stick or bossing stick, depending on who you are, where you're from.
Miss working with lead, a very therapeutic job.
Yeah, super satisfying.
Is this a job you're doing?
Yes, I will be fitting.
Isn't lead poisonous?
It is indeed poisonous.
Tin snips. How do you guard about long-term lead negativity impact you?
To my body, I make sure I keep very safe. Don't breathe the fumes in. And don't let anything, so I don't know if you can see on camera, but if you look at my gloves, they've got a slight lead colour sheen to them. So the reason I wear gloves is to stop that getting on my skin, and then me touching any of my normal day-to-day stuff and getting lead on that, and then before you know it, you're touching that and eating your dinner. And so basically no cross-contamination, don't breathe the fumes in.
Somebody said only old lead is poisonous.
No, new lead is poisonous if you put it in your mouth. Like any of this lead, if you know, that is poisonous. Old lead is more poisonous because it oxidizes on the back, forms a white powder, and when you lift it up, it disturbs all the powder and it becomes airborne and breathed in. But this is pretty safe in its form that it is now. Just don't eat.
Only lead, old lead is poisonous. Did I read that?
You did?
What's the cost of the lead course nowadays?
Well, I think it's thousands. I don't actually know, obviously, because I haven't taken it recently. But I'm pretty sure it's quite expensive.
Vitamin C also has shown to reduce lead levels in blood.
Huh, well that is interesting. I like to keep my vitamin C levels up.
Yeah, the white.
Yeah, the white powder that forms on the old lead is super toxic. That's the stuff very similar to the stuff that breaks down in lead paint, which is why lead's got such a bad name for itself.
Why is it allowed to be used in contact with rainwater? It poisons the ground.
Right. So here's a conversation that we've had a few times. I am not an expert by any stretch on this, so don't read too much into what I'm saying, but I have spoken to some guys. Trying to get myself educated on this subject so I can talk to you a bit better about it. But at the moment I'm not there yet, but I'll say what they tell me. Basically, he's phone. He got me on WhatsApp because I was on airplane mode. Basically, so I was told that in our rainwater systems, it doesn't go into the groundwater. It goes through a drainage system, filter system. But in the countries where it is deemed to be polluting the groundwater, it's actually not as bad as it sounds. Obviously, if you covered every roof in the UK in lead and just let it run into the ground without drainage systems, there's a lot to be said for that. Now, firstly, lead does come from the ground already, so that doesn't make it okay to get it into the streams, rivers, or anything like that, obviously. But it's not as simple as it's running off a roof. So once it's on the roof in this form, we cover it in oil. That forms what's called an unnatural patina. So the runoff at that point is non-existent. Over the course of about 6 to 8 weeks, it forms a natural patina. As soon as that natural patina has formed on the lead, it basically has zero toxic runoff. There is a small in-between stage where it can run off a little bit, but I am told that it is negligible and virtually harmless. There are countries where they banned it and use that as a reason to ban it, and I am going to learn a lot more about this so I can sort of talk about it with a bit more sort of authority on the subject. But lead is just one of the many building products that are put on our buildings, including plastic and cement and plasterboards and all the rest of it, that have toxicity, including arsenic in the wood, arsenic in copper, but we don't talk about those things because they're not demonised.
Is that code 4?
This is code 4, yeah.
You said it's for roofing. What's the life of that portion of a roof?
So this corner of the wall, if fitted correctly and allowed to expand and contract, lead should last for hundreds of years. It never breaks down unless it comes in contact with certain chemicals. So oak and cedar, the runoff from wood oak obviously, and cedar, the chemicals in that can actually break down lead, so you have to bitumen paint lead when it comes in contact with that wood. So it's not invincible, but it's close as damn it.
I'm well behind on this. So I'm going back on it. I don't know. So have you got the heritage? I don't know what's going
Mine's
on.
buffering.
I think mine's cut me off.
Oh, I wonder if that's him calling me. I've still got comments coming through, but I'm just buffering now. Shows alright on the live.
It's not showing as live on here.
I've still got comments coming through though.
Yeah, but
Oh no, that's me. I got joined. People joining constantly. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but on my screen it looks like we are buffering. Bear with. Still says I'm live when I come out and in. And I'm just getting that.
I can't find you. You obviously are on that one though.
It's alright on that one.
Yeah.
It just shows alright on there.
Maybe it's my phone.
Yeah, but mine's doing it up here as well. This one. Now it's not. It's disappeared on this one. See, that was that cool. Why is it still showing fine on that one? Right, let's just bang these three out. What time is it? Oh, 3 out.
Oh, hang on. It says... Have you done anything to that?
No, it's just running. It's just coming back naturally. Mine's still not showing. Boo!
I think it's coming back.
I'm coming back soon.
Maybe it's to do with the internet and the
Nah, it would have
storm.
been that phone call. That's why I put it on airplane mode so it can't cut it off, but he WhatsApp called me.
So mine says it's a malfunction, the engine injection system or the exhaust,
Oh no.
or the exhaust system, which is what it was like.
Yeah, if it's injectors it will be lumpy, yeah. I mean, it might not be the end of the world, depending on how easy to get to they are.
I think you did that yesterday. She used it.
But you need to get that booked in and looked at with the other issue with the door and the wheel as well.
I mean, just that.
Huh?
Just that sorted us.
Well, yeah, but if that can be sorted first, obviously. Work. Stupid technology. So is it not back on yours now? No, it's not back, is it? I don't know why it's not showing on that one. It's just
It's saying that it's still on there, waiting. Oh, you've ended it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it just ain't working, is it? Oh well.
Do they still come through, do they?
I don't know.
Hang on, Dale.
Someone shouting by?
No.
I'll put it back on, but it's only going to be on for a bit.
Do you want a coffee?
Yeah, go on then. Nearly said beer. It's a close call that.
Coffee!
I do like a beer on the bench. Shut the door! Do like a beer on the bench. We're back. Ish. this run of corners might be the most corners I've done in one hit for a job. When you see me folding and tapping on them, I'm trying not to get a little hole in that corner. So that's the little bit that likes to blow through when I'm welding. A little bugger. Is that metal really malleable because those scissors just cut straight through it? Yeah, it's really malleable. It's a very weird metal, is lead. Super dense and super heavy. So, a roll at 6 meters by about 150 millimeters. I'll just show you. Easy, won't it? A roll like this. Oh God, I don't even remember how much they are. So it's 55. That's about 15, 16 kilos in that roll. Which is why it makes good ballast for boats. I kind of wish I did the internal corners before the external, because these are quite fun to make, but the external corners are a bit of a pain in the backside. So obviously the opposite would be that way.
How did it go?
What?
Back on.
I just reset it and start again. Oh, hello, I really love Sam Smith. How are you? That's cool. Will it always stay malleable? Yes, it stays malleable. Yeah, it pretty much just gets a slightly matte finish on it, and then you can literally melt it down and reuse it. It's pretty much invincible within reason. Do all corners have the risk of blowing when you weld? Yeah, they do, especially if there's nothing back in it. So it's a real knack to it, not to blow through the actual lead. And as you well know, you'll watch me with the bigger units. I'll stitch the corner first, weld it, and then flip it over, and I'll stitch the back of the corner as well, because they can be quite weak spots, because you can't hold the heat on that area long enough for it to fully penetrate usually.
Matt said love lead work, taught how to do it in the late 80s, early 90s. Do you do much bossing?
I do loads of bossing, yeah. I love bossing. There's quite a few videos on my page if you're interested, but they're... I obviously don't do bossing for stuff like this generally because it's just quicker and more time efficient to cut and weld. But if I'm doing like box gutters, flat roofs, hips, ridge, roll ends, that sort of thing, I love to boss it, yeah. And I've got to a point now where I would consider myself as quick bossing as I am welding. Sometimes quicker because I haven't got to go get my bottles out, set them up, drag them up the ladder. What was that? What? And what?
Me too.
I feel like you just insulted me then. Did you just insult me?
I said your elbow.
Oh yes, bossing. No, bossing doesn't have
Me too,
an
but
elbow.
haven't for years, Matt said.
Well, you haven't worked with lead for years.
Yeah, he's the
yeah,
late
80s, 90s.
80s, early 90s, yeah.
Back when lead was super used. I thought it was banned everywhere. But it was bossed a lot more then, wasn't it? Yeah, a lot more then. So back in the old days, they would weld with one of these. So they just heat this up until it, I think, I've just bought this to have a go with for fun and also because I'm a nerd. Heat this up and then you basically, obviously wouldn't touch it because it'd be red hot, and then you sort of melt them together like that. That's old school welding back, I think, gone past Victorian like days, like. But I'm quite looking forward
Matt
to
said,
it.
oh yes, I remember those.
Yeah. So I'm slowly collecting my antique lead tools. And then I'm going to put them in a box and frame it and put them on the wall because that is actually how nerdy I am. You just have to get lit up. You have to dry it over as well. Could be a distributor cap, which is just got some water in it or something.
Should I? Obviously, he's finished this about now.
You do what?
I haven't rang him yet.
I noticed this camera is super hyper zoomed in and should probably be back there somewhere. Learn that lesson next time, YouTube. Get you some better angles. I need some better equipment. Be more professional, where we can pull your cameras around to show you a bit more sort of detail as I'm working.
In Paris, we have a lot of plumb, but it's different technique.
Oh, how so? What, to weld it, you mean?
It's
Or
plumb.
dress it? Yeah, plumb bum is the old term for lead, PB. I think it's a Latin term originally. Plumbus bituribus. That was fluent Latin there.
Matt said antique, still got mine, lol.
Yeah, they're antique, Matt. They actually sell them as antiques now on eBay. When I first started social media, I had a group of old school lead workers who liked to come to my comment sections and absolutely ridicule me for using plastic dressers. But there's a reason we use plastic dressers, and one of those very good reasons is wood splinters, as you can sort of see here, and it gets rough quite quick. Now you sand that, and when you hit the lead with it, it leaves marks all over the lead. So what you have to do is to get it like this, where it's shiny, you have to oil it, linseed oil, that sort of thing. So, and that's like every single weekend. The good lead workers used to get all their lead tools in a bucket of linseed, leave it in there over the weekend, take it out, clean it up, and then use it for the week. Give it a little sand. Wood also, as you sand it, disappears quite quickly, so you go through dresses quite quick.
Matt said he best get his on eBay then.
Yeah, they don't fetch much, but they do sell them as antiques. I should just be buying them all by now. No, I just put my antique lead dresser back.
It's very noisy.
It really wasn't, was it? Right, so what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be all my external corners complete. And then we shall decide whether or not to do any internals. The trouble is with internals.
No, I really love Sam Smith. So nerdy or not, if you're at the top of your game, why not have collections of antique tools?
Yeah, just, I don't know. I've got a lot to thank lead for. I actually really like lead. I know it's weird. I do though. Like, I think it's so cool. Like, I mean, what other material in the world? Someone's bound to know this in the comments, but there is another heavy metal like lead, but I can't remember what it was called. But what other material in the world is this versatile, this durable, this sort of malleable, this dense, this heavy? I mean, it's like it's come from outer space or something. It's so cool. And it has provided for me for a good couple of centuries, you know. Puts food in my belly, a roof over my head.
Patrick said, what are we doing? Coffee.
Talking nonsense, Patrick. Talking absolute gibberish. But these are external cover flashing corners to go around a flat roof detail.
Matt said, I helped do the roof Shire Hall in Warwick. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I bet that was a good one. Anything with hall on the end has got some pretty good lead work usually.
Shire Hall. You said gold, mate.
Yeah, grey gold. Liquid grey gold. Oh my god, my feed is so far behind. You know when I spanned the dresser earlier? I've just seen that on my feed up there.
Yeah, I know. That's what happened with mine. Love that you named it Angry Banana.
Yeah, my girl. Boy, I'm not sure. Genderless. One day.
Do you use a lot of zinc in the UK?
We do use quite a bit of zinc, yeah. Yeah, it's become very popular around what I've seen anyway, around my areas and that. It's got a lot more popular over the last 10 years. Before that, we had a bit more copper. I'm only speaking from my local area. I know around the country it's different, but at least where I am, copper's nearly non-existent. Lead is held pretty true, and zinc has become quite popular. So we're going to zip
I
these
haven't had
up.
any messages on this one for ages.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah.
Since before I went.
That's all right.
And aluminium.
I don't know of anybody who uses aluminium for anything. That's in industrial roofing, over warehouses and stuff like that. We use a lot of different types of sheet metal, like aluminium and zinc and things like that. And that's the corrugated profile stuff usually. I assume some of that's aluminium. But yeah, on domestic properties we use tile, which is either clay or concrete based, or we use slate, which is obviously slate. And there are a few exceptions to that. You can get some other materials to use on the roof, but generally speaking, most of the UK is done in slate, tile, or lead itself. Flat roofs are a whole different ball game. There's all kinds of different systems on flat roofs. Lead being the best.
Matt said, taught how to do copper, aluminium, zinc, and neutralite. Oh no, what have I done?
What have you done?
How are you feeling watching this live?
A neuralite. I don't know what neuralite is, Matt. What was that?
Just said, how do I feel watching this live? I watched a lead plumber burn upside down.
Now that is a technique that only comes from the best of the best. Like, to do this, I can weld this straight up. I can weld it straight across. It can be on an angle, it can be on a dangle. But to go like that and weld it that way, A, I haven't even tried because I don't think it's even possible for me to do. And B, I haven't had a reason to do it. But I have seen a guy called Leadworker Bath on Instagram. And he did like an angle like this, so it was off horizontal, and he was sort of running up here along and then back up, and oh my god, man, that was stressful.
I have a wooden lead beater.
Do you actually use it?
I'm a flat roofer, Gary said.
Oh, okay. So we get a bit closer.
He was amazing. I don't know if he's talking about lead worker glass. Neuralite is like thick felt.
Oh, okay. So is it bitumen based? Like as in the torch on stuff? Or...
Gary said Brighton lead craft, 50 years.
Go. Emergency rod.
What's this?
I keep doing these little ones. So I always try to come from open corner to closed corner when you see me spinning it. We use a lot of zinculium steel in Australia. So that's like the coated stuff, right? Okay.
Matt said yes. To,
Do not judge my welds. I'm not trying to look pretty.
what part of the southwest are you from?
Devon. Devonshire by. Alright, turn your phone down. Blew a hole in the first one.
You did.
Straight off the bat, boom.
You did not.
Did. This one. So as I got to this, which went straight through, and then you see, obviously in there. But easy fix. What it is in a perfect weld, you do it like that, so your bench is underneath that weld. So if you're a beginner and you're looking at this thinking, how's he doing that? You can do it like this, but it's quite fiddly to not blow a hole through there or undercut it. I just find that way so much easier and quicker, but it is a very tricky thing to do. And a lot of people in my comments always moan that it's not taking to this side, but that's fully welded. I'm not going to rip that apart because it's just lead, it's not steel. And I've got to fit it.
Can you solder lead with an iron?
Yes, you can weld lead with an iron.
Gary said, you make it look simple. I bought a porter pack just for back cutters and front aprons. You can tell he takes a lot of pride in what he does.
Thanks, man. That is all our external corners completed.
Dodgy that, Devon's a B-Tech Somerset.
I'll tell you what, let's get them oiled.
Can you do that with an electric iron?
Yeah, you probably could. If you mean a soldering iron, no, probably not. But if you can generate enough heat, you can weld lead.
Oh, why?
So I just thought, okay, all right. Let's get our patina on.
That's first,
Hmm?
Put that first.
Before what? Before you? Oh, what did you do?
What made you want to get into lead work? Love the work you do.
Thank you very much. So I was a roofer to start with. Basically, we do a lot of bits and pieces of lead work within roofing. Soakers is predominantly the first thing I found. Soaker is just a piece of lead bent in half at 90 degrees, kind of that without this lip, like that, and then you put a tile soaker, and this is going up the wall, and then you get one of these and you put that over the soaker. So I was doing a lot of that to start with.
Right, you put some others on this one. Scrap BMX Rider said, love watching you keep an old school trade alive.
Nice one, man.
And Reece said, hey mate, watch all your videos. Started welding about a year ago after going on Master Reefer's course.
Oh yeah?
Basic welding and bossing.
Good course that.
Getting better, but how do I get the back of my welds like yours?
Depending what weld you mean, because obviously something like this, it is non-existent. But this is just a cover flashing, it's going in a wall. But if you mean generally speaking, like on the last videos where I show the back full penetration, that is penetration. That is oh sorry, I can't help myself with that. That is heat. So obviously you see I use a steel bench.
In a front apron, so.
Yeah. So basically I weld a little bit hotter than most lead workers. Not all, but I weld quite hot. It doesn't actually have to penetrate that deep. It just is a result of how hot I weld. So because I've done it for so long, I'm able to control the heat quite well. So it doesn't have to be hot. I can do it colder, but I find it's quicker and flows better if I keep the heat going. For someone like you who's just starting out, I wouldn't even worry about that. Your main concern isn't how it looks or how much it penetrates. Your main concern is if those two pieces are lead are now one. If they are now one and there are no holes in it, that's fine.
He said, do I hold it to the point of nearly dripping through the table?
You shouldn't be able to drip through the table. I highly recommend metal over wood, but if you leave your flame on and it's flat and your surface is clean, flat and fine, you should be able to hold your flame on that for almost as long as you want. It will eventually, between the two pieces, it will open eventually, but you can hold it there. Like I'm showing beginners this process, you can hold a flame on that molten pool for up to 10 to 30 seconds depending on the lead and whereabouts on the weld you are. So that, like, there's a video of my little narrator over there learning to weld with me. And what a lot of beginners do is they're scared that they're going to blow a hole in it. And in that video that I do with my little Jojo, she won't hold the flame, and I'm going, no, don't take it off, don't take it off. She's going, I'm laughing. And yeah, basically, don't be afraid to hold your heat on too long. But what I will say, the biggest thing that helped me as a beginner is just messing about. Just when you've got some spare time on your bench, making sure you're obviously well ventilated and masked up, just sit there with a flame and hold it on there and draw things on it and just get used to what the flame does in different settings and different sort of environments. That's really where you're going to progress.
So really appreciate the advice, loving this.
No worries, man.
And then Matt said, used to do it with matte gas and a pinpoint torch. And don't put the flame in the pool, lol. Pop.
Yeah, get a face full of molten lead's always nice. It's very, very, very much recommended. Like me, I wear glasses, so I'm not too concerned. But like, if you're not wearing glasses, at least wear safety glasses. You do not want molten lead in your eye. And my other favourite is when I'm welding. So like, if I'm on a building and the weld's up high, and I'm underneath it, and I'll be trying to get it not to blow a hole, and I'll just drip molten lead like that, and it will just fall on my leg, burn straight through my clothes into my skin. So that's always nice. So I try not to do that too much these days. But when I was learning, that was a very common occurrence. I never could get vertical welding. Like in the first couple of years, didn't understand it at all, even though a couple of people showed me. And the biggest thing for me learning vertical welding is just to start. So you're welding on a flat bench, then get a surface and jacket, just a couple of mil. Then once you can weld that, then that, then that, then that, and work your way up. Don't try and do too much too soon.
No, so yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Someone else asked, what's the best for cleaning old lead work?
I wouldn't really say there's a best. It depends how dirty it is and what's on it, and if it's just oxidised. We do lead cleaning products. I think I've got some somewhere. So they do a lead cleaning solution. It isn't really like what you want it to be. It's a lot of elbow grease and scrubbing. You shouldn't really use anything abrasive, because if you scratch the lead, it can be prone to cracking through expansion and thermal movement. But you'll just get like a soft cloth, put some of this on, or just get patination oil, which I'm using over here, and just scrub the life out of it. To get it back to really, really proper, good, clean lead is very hard to do, if not impossible. You see, like, this lead's got like, yeah, there's one. This lead's got a lot of discoloration in it, and once you go over it with oil, it tends to settle down anyway.
You're
welcome.
Love your work. I used your corner details on flashing on chimney stack.
Oh, nice one. See, I get a lot of flack for that, like, from the leadwork community, showing all the secrets and the tricks of the trade, like we're some secret society. But in my opinion, like that comment you just made to me there, like you used my idea to do something that you felt improved or helped you, means that that job you did is better quality. Now, I've got over 500,000 followers across my channels now. If I help one of them do a better job, then I feel like that is a good thing for our industry, because those people are still going to go and do that job, right?
So over on the other one, Reese said, my regulators are peppered and don't ready now. Can I get away with it if I know the flame I need, or shall I stop being tight?
When you say
maybe they don't read.
Yeah, honestly, mate, all it is a readout. It's a good idea to keep your equipment in good condition. I mean, let's face it, these things are explosive, and they do hold flammable gas. But that said, everybody I know who's a lead worker or has been a lead worker, they've got no glass on the front of them, the pin's broken off, the dial's fallen out. I've seen bottles that are over 40 years old which don't have any numbers left in the things. As long as the gas is flowing and you can weld lead, technically speaking, you should be fine. But if it was me, I'd replace them for, you know, like you can get regulators for like 30 quid.
What's the best starter bottle setup for welding?
That is open to interpretation. In my opinion, I learnt with what's called an Oxy Turbo kit. I think they're brilliant little starter kits. I think they're brilliant little mobile kits as well, like when you don't want to get your big bottles out. And I can do anything with them that I can with my big bottles. So that would be my advice to anybody starting out or just doing light lead work. Oxy Turbo.
Matt said years ago it was a plumber's job. It was part of the craft certificate course. It's now not taught.
Yeah, that's correct. There are still some plumbers out there doing it. I get a few messages from time to time from plumbers saying they're still doing it. And when I started doing it, it was still quite a few plumbers doing it.
Steve said a lead welder knows his flame.
He does, yeah. I can almost start my bottles perfect every time without looking at anything. I just know how much to crack that what's the word I'm looking for? That knob.
So Reese said on a pan tile, Marley Modern or something.
Yep.
Would you prefer to individually soaker the tile, then step cover flash it, or do it in one piece of lead up the cheeks on a chimney?
I always 100% do soakers, always. I feel like it's a better finish, it's less work, and I feel like it's more waterproof when it's done. That said, I have no objection to doing it in one piece. I just feel that it works better all round to do it with soakers and separate flash. And you've got to be very careful not to thin the lead when you're dressing between tiles, especially aggressively profiled tiles. It's not that it can't be done, it's just a bit of a pain in the ass.
I really love Sam Smith says, can you get miniature torches, and if so, would a smaller torch help with controlling the weld?
You can get miniature torches, yes. I don't know of any that are available, but I've seen them with a really fine jet. I think all that's going to do, because you still have to generate the same amount of heat to melt the lead, all that's going to do is going to take you from, like, say something like that sort of width, and it's just going to take that to a thinner point. Probably not ideal. If you're just trying to learn, I'd just go with the normal. God, I forgot.
Keep up the good work, mate. Okay.
Thank you. See you soon.
Have you finished that other question, or do you want
Yeah, so I would personally recommend you stay with a normal size. You can get nozzles, so for the guns that we use, you can get number 1 to number 5 usually. I'm sure they do something else. I use a number 3 or a number 4 nozzle, and that is just basically how big the hole is in the nozzle. So you could try playing around with a 2 or a 1, but I don't think you generate enough heat from that kind of size nozzle, in my opinion.
Reese says, how much more lead do you think it uses in comparison, if any, for the soakers and to do it in the soakers?
It definitely uses more lead, because for every tile lap, let's say you've got, I don't know, 75mm tile lap, off the top of my head, whatever. So for every soaker, you're using 75mm more lead that way. But you've also then got the extra lap of lead up the chimney. So it's 100mm of lead that way, plus the 75-ish, depending on your lap, that way. So you could argue you're nearly doubling the amount of lead used. But you're also cutting down on labour and effort.
Mike said, any tips on setting up the Oxy Turbo?
It's pretty 50-50, everything. So when you say setup, I mean, I assume you mean the flame itself. So just crack your taps open on the top fully, and then just a little crack on the gas, light it. a little crack on the oxygen, draw your flame back. So you just want like a little point at the bottom of the flame. But if you're having a problem setting them up for any reason, sometimes in all guns, not just the Oxy Turbo, the O-rings and diaphragms and things can play up. You'll know that's happening because once you set your flame, it will start to expand and contract. That means you probably need a new gun.
Shane says, Ironworker Local 477, love to weld lead, so malleable.
Hey man, yeah, it's pretty satisfying stuff to work with.
So Steve and Matt said they qualified as a plumber and heating engineer in 1989.
Oh, yeah,
lead
you
work
did lead.
was a large part back then.
Yeah, I mean, back then, realistically, that was the only people that did lead were the plumbers.
Mike said, yeah, Saker's better any day, and he said yes to the Oxy Turbo setting up. Yeah, and he said thanks.
You're welcome.
I saw the light and got out the game years ago, Steve said.
Why, what did you go and do? It was better.
Matt said, I'm off, mate. Thanks for bringing back some great memories.
No worries, Matt. Thanks for joining. Greatly appreciated.
Reece says, my gaffer cuts his front apron, slaps his 150mm on the tile, bends his cheek piece at 150 by 150, fixes that up the cheeks with pull clips, etc. Then dresses that bit around the front apron. Why? Can you please tell him how wrong this is?
There's no right or wrong, right? So the thing is with lead, even the lead sheet manual that everybody uses as the Bible of lead, it is guidelines only. Now, you'd be a fool not to listen to those guidelines because they're there for a reason. But what it really comes down to with any roofing system, particularly lead, is it waterproof at the end. Doesn't have to look pretty, it's good if it does, but ultimately, is it waterproof and will it stay waterproof? If that's the case, then there's no harm in it, you know? Doesn't have to be top, perfect, immaculate, by the book every single time on every single job. There's a lot of people out there putting lead and roofing stuff on, which is criminal. But if you can say that your lead doesn't leak, then, you know, that's good enough, really.
What are those that you've welded up? Good day to you guys both.
So these sit, you've got a flat roof here that goes up the wall. Obviously, this is the corner of that wall. We then chase a groove into the wall. That goes into the wall. We fill the chase up, and then any water coming down cannot get behind the flat roof. So they're just external corners. We've got to do the opposite of that. 15 of them for the internal corners, and then I've got some slightly less angled ones that need doing.
Steve
fit.
Steve said he's now a special needs assistant working with kids in a school.
Okay, cool. You don't miss it at all? I like working with lead, in case you noticed.
You wouldn't like working with kids.
No, I must admit I would not make a very good patient person with children in general. It's hard enough with my own kids ear bashing me. Just want to run out of the house crying most days. So more power to you.
Reece said thanks for the advice, man, very much appreciated. Good luck with the flashing you're making.
Thank you. So I'm doing so we pretty much call that a wrap. I think there's no point in me trying to start another 15 of them. I think I'm gonna try, depends how it goes and what jobs are on, but I've got obviously come back on sometime later in the week and we'll do the rest of them, and maybe do some prep work for the flashings themselves.
Steve said if it's waterproof, will it move in time? Be aware of creep. That was my rule.
Yeah, exactly. Right guys, TikTokers, thank you very much for watching and joining. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you later in the week if you're about. Massive thanks to the YouTube. You guys are amazing. Check my channel out if you get a chance, as always, and I'll see you soon.